freebies, you are going to be introduced a really amazing tool. And the best part, it's free. And this tool will allow you to plan your retirement in the easiest way possible. Keep watching if you want to find out more. A lot of people could feel that it's intimidating to look at retirement. Well, it is. But in my experience planning for many clients thus far, one of the best things that you can do is have more information on how the journey is going to look like. And this calculator will do just that. And the best thing is, it's free. Don't worry guys, it's not sponsored. So if you're wondering if it works, if you already have a consultant, they will probably do something similar with you first. And if you do not have a consultant, you can use this tool as the first level of clarity of how your retirement will look like. And when you meet them eventually, you can make the session more productive and efficient for yourself. Bear in mind, if you are someone that requires more detailed calculations, for example, injecting factors of marriage, house, kid, car purchase, your second kid, your second property, and whatnot, it's best to seek help from a professional like myself or your agent, because this calculator will not be able to factor that. Alright, so what you're seeing now on the screen is the website called calculator.net. And you can see they have a wide range of available calculators for you to use. And what we're going to focus on today is just the retirement calculator. Right, you'll see this available fields for you to fill up. Of course, this is auto-populated. So your current age, if you're like myself, you can put 31. I just remember my age. Right, you want to have an early retirement, that's fine. You can change to remember 45, 40, 50, depends on what does early retirement to you, right? So 45. And life expectancy, right, that's 85, that's normal. And your current pre-tax income, so in Singapore, is of course your income before CPF. Of course, this field, you can fill up, you can leave it blank too. Alright, so let's assume today you fill it up at 60 grand, that means you earn 5 grand a month. For your current income increase, if your current pre-tax income is blank, your current income increase can also leave it blank. Again, put 3% because as you can see here, if you Google the Singapore rate of increment, 3% is the common result. And your income needed after retirement, this part you can choose either a percentage of your current income or you can use it in today's dollar value. To make it simple, put it in today's dollar value. That means today you are earning 60 grand a year. And when you retire, you also want to maintain a safe lifestyle of 60 grand a year. And average investment return, of course, this is if you invest on your own or there's an instrument you invest in, the return that this investment drives you. Okay, but of course, take note, this average investment return, you cannot put just investment return because it's the return on your overall retirement savings. So if your retirement savings is growing at 5%, 8%, 10%, treat it as such. But of course, to be very conservative, you can just put in the middle of 5%. Okay, so I put 5. And inflation rate, also I covered this before. So based on the latest one of Total 4, Total 3, you can see that the inflation rates differ and the average you'll find is around 3%. So you can put 3% as the inflation rate. Okay, so the third segment is the other income after retirement. So this means if you are already having any dividends, any rental income, CPF life, you can fill it in. So at 45, we won't have CPF paid out yet, so there'll be 0. And your current retirement savings. So let's put in a more educated assumption, because if you are retiring at 45, having 30 grand is not possible. So let's say you put around 100,000. And of course, let's assume from now, because your current pre-tax income is 60 grand, your future retirement savings, that means how much percentage you set aside of your current pre-tax income to retirement. It can be percentage or it can be in dollars also. You can put maybe 10 or 15%. So I put 15. If you're planning for retirement, you got to save a bit more. So you press calculate and you'll direct you on the next page. And you'll realize, based on the projection of what you have been saving up and how much your investment return are giving you, you will have 408,000, which is only 16% of what is required at the right hand side, which is 2.51 million. Okay, so where this number comes from, you scroll down, you can see the balance by age as a graph, and of course below it you see a show detail. If you click it in, you will see a full-blown Excel of how they actually do the math. So to give you a rough run through of how the numbers are tabulated, you see the beginning balance is 100,000. The 100,000 is how much you actually keep in on your current retirement savings. The 9 grand contribution is because, remember, you are earning 60 grand a year and you save 15 for your retirement savings. So that's 9, because as your current retirement savings of 100 grand still earn a 5% return. So if you add the 5% of 100,000 plus your contribution of savings, you'll get extra 14 grand, and that's why your ending balance is 114. Okay, and of course, next year you see your contribution increase because remember, your salary increase, you put 3%. So of course, they already factor in your salary increment. So for the left-hand side, it's a forward calculation. That means based on what you key in, they will project it forward at your ideal retirement age of 45. At the left-hand side, it's actually what you need to have. So it's a backward calculation. That means they did it based on where you want to be in the future, but they work backwards to how much you need to save today on an every year contribution basis. So it's a bit different. And why the number is so huge? Because of course, what you require for retirement is 60 grand based on today's value. They already factor in the inflation of 3%. How much will 60 grand be worth at 45? Now, of course, know that this number keeps decreasing because inflation keeps kicking in. So as you grow older, the 60 grand value just gets higher. Okay, so that's how the Excel is shown. So based on what you're seeing, is there any limitations there? Yes, there are, because they assume like you don't have kids, you don't want to get married, you don't want to buy a house also. Maybe some of you have maybe inheritance. So all these are not factored in, but it's a very plain and simple, straight off the bat numbers you key in. So what you saw was actually what most Singaporeans will want to achieve actually at early retirement. You're super ambitious. Now, let's run through a more realistic example that most Singaporeans will find easier to achieve. So let's go down again. Here you can immediately do a second simulation. You don't have to go back to the previous page. You can just do it right here. So your planned retirement age now, let's say I'm retire at a standard retirement age. Singapore retire at 65, let's key that in. Life expectancy same at 85, and my pre-tax income is 60 grand. As I mentioned earlier, this field you can key it in or you can leave it blank. And your current income increase, same thing if I put 3%, and income needed retirement I put the same thing, and average investment return keep the same, and your income needed after retirement, same thing into this value, let's maintain at 60 grand, and average investment return is 5, and living inflation is 3. So other income after retirement, we are planning for the standard retirement age of 65, which means by then, CPF Life will have paid out a regular sum every single month. If you hit your basic retirement sum, you'll be expecting around 840 to 900 plus. If you hit your FRS, you'll expect around 1.5 to 1.6. But that is based on today. I want to know what can I expect when I hit 65. So if you're 31, the next slide will be important for you. So I've actually derived this annex from the CPF website, and you can see the projection of how much the BRS, FRS, and ERS will be in the next few years to come. And based on the criteria that you hit, what are the relevant payouts? And I have did the math for you. So let's look at the FRS, your full retirement sum, which we all ideally want to hit. So in 2022, it's 1,570 a month, but in 2027, it's actually 1,840. If you do the math, it's our 3.22% increase per annum. So based on what I've calculated, you'll realize that the average is around 3% increment for the CPF payout. And I want to understand, based on my situation now, I'm 31, how will my CPF payout look like when it's 65? So let's put in the same numbers in the calculator. So key in the present value, like the PV is 1,570. Next, interest, you can put it at 3 or 3.1. I'll put at 3.1. For the period, okay, think of the period, I cannot put 34 because 1,570, it was 2 years ago. So I need to put 36, we're going to plus 2, okay? And then for future value, if you click it, you'll receive the end value of 4,712.07. This is not guaranteed, this is just a projection. Now, in the other income retirement, I'll put just 4,700 flat per month. For the current retirement savings, this segment is for savings meant for retirement. It's not your whole cash saving. Of course, this is more realistic. I'm not too sure how many of you have 100,000 at 30. Maybe realistically, most of us have 50 grand because maybe some of us work later, some of us got married, some of us now paid a house whatsoever. Then we're like 50 grand. And for retirement savings, of course, you can put still 15%, right? Still valid. Let's calculate. Okay, so you realize that, hey, you are quite near to where you need, because based on the projection on what you have keyed in so far, you will achieve 79% of what you actually require. You need 1.77 million, but you have 1.4. So that's a good thing, you're not too far away. But is there any limitations to what we keyed in just now? Yes. For example, the first one will be your current income increase. But when you put 3%, they actually assume that in the next 34 years, you will receive a 3% increment every single year. Present value of 60 grand, interest rate 3%, period 34 years. That means at your retirement age, you'll be earning 163 a year, which is around 13 grand a month. If this is you, you can key in 3%, that's perfect. But unfortunately, most of the employments and occupations, there are certain cap to how much one can earn. And I think a conservative assumption will be around 8 to 9 grand. Then the income increment will not be 3%, it will actually be 1.5. Because if you key the number, same thing, present value 60 grand, interest 1.5, and for 34 years, your future value will end up around 99,000. So let's round up to 100 grand. Next one, as you can see, in the future retirement savings of 15%, they also assume that you're going to be hell disciplined and you follow through throughout the end for the next 34 years. Right, that you save 15% of your income even if your income increase. And if that is you, perfect, that's great. But of course, unfortunately, there may be unforeseen circumstances that needs you to fork out a bigger pool of cash that doesn't allow you to save up this 15% so strictly. And usually only a small handful of people can follow through so strictly for 34 years at 15% every single year. Other assumptions is that there's no house purchases, you don't get married, there's no kids. Also assuming that you hit FRS and you don't upgrade your second property. So all these are the things that are not factored in. And also even if, for some time you say, hey bro, I got endowment and investment policies. That is for 25-year one. Some tell me 30 years. Maybe at the 25th year when it matures or 30th when it matures basically, and you receive that big pool of cash. Maybe you will reinvest it, sure, but I think a majority may park the cash and spend it somewhere else because it's like a lottery effect. Of course, again, if you are the disciplined person and you can follow it through and you reinvest it, well done. Very perfect. Okay, so I put 10%. And we click calculate. You will see that based on this, now you only have 50% of what you require. Now you only have $879,000. When you do this calculation yourself, understand that, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, there are certain scenarios that you can't simulate. So now, if you're wondering, hey bro, I want to plan with my wife, I want to plan with my husband, because you all plan your finances as a single entity. We can do that, but once again, there are limitations. So what we can do is your common age can remain. You plan to retire at 65. Also, expenses the same. Total income, maybe you and your partner add together, average at around maybe 6 grand per month. Then there'll be 72 grand a year, there'll be 144 a year. So you put both of your income here. But again, right, like I mentioned at the earlier part of the video, this part also can leave it blank if you think it's not needed, can leave it blank also. And income increase, here we're 1.5, as I mentioned just now. Income needed after retirement, let's use percentage as a different scenario right now, right? You just say, maybe when I retire, you all don't need that much, you just need 75%. Sure, can do that. And investment return of 5%, same. Inflation 3%, same. And of course, other income, let's assume again both of you hit the FRS. You will have 9,400, and as a combined retirement savings, that together maybe 120 grand will be a good figure. And same thing, 10% on retirement savings, or let's say you will save more, 15%, because maybe one of you save more, one of you lesser, average of 15%. Good, right? Calculate. You will see that what both of you need is 2.46 million, and you'll achieve 90% of it with 2.22 million. So this will give you a more easy understanding of how your retirement will look like, be as a single individual or a couple. So I do hope that you guys enjoyed the run through of the calculator. It will be very handy for your ideal retirement, be it an early retirement or the standard one. Of course, do take note of the limitations I mentioned earlier. So if you guys like what I've shared so far and my previous contents, remember to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!